And what a lot of people don't understand is that in today's world, how hard it is to get any kind of winner without the kind of instruction you're getting now. So if you have something that wins, or almost wins, or breaks even, or at least doesn't lose, or at least doesn't lose a lot, then now we're going to I'm going to tell you what to do with that during the rest of this seminar. But the main thing that you want to find out is whether it's Zippo or not. Because if it's Zippo, you want to drop it. Look, you're a salesman. You've got your briefcase full of goodies. You're going to call on an executive who is in a high-rise office building. God has said to you that he will tell you, there's more than one executive. He will tell you of the 10 executives that are your prospects in this building, which 5 of them are not going to ever buy from you. When do you want him to tell you? Right now. Right now. You want to know right now. This way you know, and if it's Zippo, what do? You go to your second choice on the SRDS list book, okay? But if it's in the middle, we're going to talk about what to do when it's in the middle. Now, huh?
You just said, is that a dry test?
Nope. You got the book. You're advertising a book that exists. You can do what this man suggests. Just go out and buy the books and fill the orders. That's right. Yeah, it's not a dry test. The book exists. Now, let's say that we do have our good results, and we selling the book for $39.95 plus 4, and we have a $40 contribution to overhead after the cost of fulfillment. We got 7%. That's 70 orders times 40. That's $2,800 after the cost of fulfillment. We subtract our mailing cost, which is roughly 50 cents a piece. We're going on a per thousand basis. That's $2,300. Okay? And then what we do, once that 1,000, the thing from the 1,000 piece mailing comes back, you can't rent fewer than 5,000 names. What you do immediately is you mail the other 4,000 names to kind of confirm your results, all right? Now, let me tell you where the people who are going to mess up here are going to mess up. I know it exactly. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I know as I look out at every sea of faces, I don't know exactly who they are. I know a certain percentage will take the information I give them and get rich. A certain percentage will go to endless number of seminars. A certain percentage will do the following. And these are the big losers. You won't mail the 1,000 names till you get it all right, till you get it just perfect. You dummy. Ain't nothing ever going to be perfect. It all turns to shit. The most important thing you can do is to order those 1,000 names as soon as possible and buy the postage and make this real. You will be further ahead to write a letter that says, "Dear friend, I've got a great book that will teach you how to lower your golf score by 10 strokes in 48 hours, and I'll sell you a copy for $50. Just make the check out to me, Jerry Joe Buckwheat, and send it as honest to God." That will work better than what some of you are going to do. First key to success, do something. Do something. Do something. Stop waiting to get it right. People will ask me questions, and they're good questions. When do you italicize a word? What point type should you use? What grade paper should that be printed on? Et cetera, et cetera. Well, Maud, we listened to that guy. Well, Henry, you think we're ready to make it? Well, I don't know yet. This is like 8-point type, and I think he said 10. We better double check that, And the printer, this guy, he wants $170 to print 1,000 letters. I think Halbert said we could get it for $6. We better check it on and on and on and on. And 30 years from now, you will be there trying to get the details right. So what you want to do is you don't have to get it right. You have to get it moving. That's where everybody screws up. They don't get it moving. When I did the coat of arms thing, I mailed it. First name was Miller, and the results were terrible. I got a list of all the people named Miller in Canton, Ohio, made a route map, and I went out and talked to them with my coat of arms. I got feedback from them and mailed some more names. And some of the names worked well and some of the names didn't. The first name, by the way, that ever worked for that promotion was the name Francis. But I was doing it through biofeedback. Do you understand? Biofeedback, because I was moving. Here is how you put an act together if you're a musician, right? You're a musician, you've been studying the guitar, and you've been singing for a few years. You're about to do your first gig. They put you in a biker bar with a mesh fence in front of you so that the guys can't get you. You start playing. You've got 15 songs. When the 15 songs are during 9 of those songs, the biker threw broken beer bottles at you. Through a couple of the songs, they were quiet. That's 11. 2 of them, they applauded. What's that, 13. One of them, they said, yeah, man. And one of them, they went crazy and applauded. Now you go to biker bar B, right? And what do? You lead off with your hit song. And the one that made them throw the most beer bottles, that gets dropped out, right? And you try something else. And as you keep trying to, after a while, you will have 15 songs that are absolutely guaranteed to knock a crowd dead. Remember the Lady Sally in Key West? You go there, you'll hear the same songs now. If you go hear Alex Fox, you will hear him playing the same tunes he was playing 2 years ago. Why? Huh? Yeah, that's right. And you know the thing is, but you don't get that act together until you are willing to go out and stand in the biker bar and let them throw the beer bottles at. There's no shortcut for that. And if you won't do it, and some of you absolutely will not do it, it's not going to work for you. It's not because of what you don't know. It's because of what you won't do. So go, just do it. The best thing you could do when you leave here, if you haven't done it before, is to put 1,000 letters in the mail. I swear to God, put it in the mail if it just says, I've got this thing you should have and I'll sell it to you for X amount. Make the check out to me and here's my address. Just do it. Just do it. It changes you inside. There's a visceral, cellular change that happens when people do things. You know, everything is study, everything is reflection. There's an article in the paper. It's one of thousands of such articles. There's a big article today about people on the Internet. You know, they're marveling at all the information on the information superhighway. That information has always existed. You never saw these people hanging out in libraries. They go through it. They give up their lives for it. They never do anything with it. They never do anything with it. They study it and study it and study it and study it. Look, at this point, I feel so passionate about it, I do everything to bring it home. I'm going to try this one. There are 2 guys. One is short, fat, smelly, ugly, and he's from Bulgaria and speaks with an accent. The other guy is tall, dark, handsome, rich, and very suave. Both of them want to have as many dates with women as they can. The tall, dark, suave, good-looking, rich guy stays home and buys his course. And he buys a bunch of other books on how to pick up girls. 1001 opening lines, and he studies GQ, and he makes sure that he has the latest clothes, and he goes to a fashion consultant and gets himself color coordinated. Just one thing he doesn't do. He doesn't ever go out and say, "Hi, my name's Gary. Could I buy you a drink?" No, no, no. His whole life is devoted to avoiding that part, okay? Now, the other little smelly fat guy, guy looks like Alan McDonald. Okay. Jeez, what a dead eye. Okay. This guy, he goes out, and every woman he sees that's attracted to him, he says something. And some of them say, "Get away from me, you stink." And after he hears that about 20 times, he gets the hint, and he goes home and takes a shower. Okay? And then the next 50 women he approached insult his clothes. My God, where'd you get that? It looks like something that would be worn in Bulgaria. Well, that's where. So he goes out and he buys different clothes. And then instead of, he's always going up to them and says, "Hi, my name is Joe Bulgaria. I would like to tell you about my ant farm." And the women have told him, "I'm not interested in ant farms." So he starts talking about his hardware interests, et cetera, et cetera. And finally, he says something that they are interested in. And he keeps doing this. It's 5 years later. Which guy are we going to bet on? We're going to bet on the short, fat, smelly, ugly guy who got down in the arena and got bloody. Now listen. If you are 100 years old and you see an attractive woman across the room, one that you're really attracted to and you go approach her, you're going to be frightened. Unless you're drunk or on drugs, it's going to be scared. Because it's scary to go after anything that you want. There's two things that you can do. You can either be afraid and frozen or scared and moving. Not being scared or nervous is not an option. You think that I stand up here full of confidence, et cetera, et cetera? Get real. I mean, it's scary every time I stand up. And it's scary for other people. Performers like Garth Brooks, real famous people, they're still nervous. You know what the difference is? You either do it or you don't do it. And if you ain't got the cojones to do it, admit it and go work at McDonald's or IBM or whatever else it is and lead this insufferably boring, dull life. But the other thing is, stop. You know what the tall, handsome guy's doing? He's trying to figure out a way to go ask that woman for a date and not be scared at the same time. There ain't no way. There ain't no way. If you do what I tell you to do, you're going to get beat up. You're going to get your nose bloody. You're going to lose some of your money. You're going to waste some of your time. But it's the only thing that gives you a chance. Now, this may be not the message that you came here to hear, but I don't care. It's the message you need to hear. That's what you need to hear. Now, those are the things that you need to do. That's what you need to know. Okay? Now, there is some things. Let's talk about something like writing a sales order, because we haven't got to that part completely yet.
You know what, Gary? I love when you do stuff like that, because that's actually what has kept me. That's what got me into the marketing business. When I first that whole philosophy of yours, that's what makes your stuff so addictive. So I think he deserves a very big hand.
Thank you. I write the newsletter that I would want to read because I don't know, but I think in all fields there is such a hunger for someone to take the bullshit out of stuff. I mean, aren't you so tired of it? You know, how many more times someone says, this politician A is better than politician B. How could you even think that? How can you even listen to what Bill Clinton or Newt Gingrich has to say? You know, anyway. Okay, now we're going to talk about writing a sales letter. This is a sales letter that I wrote that is being mailed by Phillips Publishing, millions of copies. It is the current control for the J. Schabacher Mutual Fund letter. Okay?
What do you mean by
Okay. A control is the best package you have. That's what you compete against. Like, if you work for Phillips, they'll be mailing a package, and the way they pay is they pay you a big upfront fee and so much per piece mailed, or a certain percentage. But to do that, they will mail your piece against the one they're already using. If your piece beats it, it becomes what's called the control. Okay? I have two controls for Phillips now. One is the retirement letter, and one is the Schabacher letter. Now, yesterday, did you all understand the value of the exercise we went through of working with that template letter? Okay, now I'm going to give you pretty much of an exact formula for writing sales letters. What I just told you is the most important thing I have to tell you. That do those steps, okay, so that we are now endeavoring to do something that has a prayer of working, okay? And, okay, now let me I don't know how many steps I'm up to there, but we're going to make a separate category of steps for writing a sales letter. And I'm going to try and take as much of the risk out of this as I possibly can. So the first thing you want to do is find one or more template letters that relate to what you want to sell. Now, the golf thing that we worked on for Jeff Paul, I didn't have to make all of it up. I didn't try and create in a vacuum. My friend John Carlton had already written a winning promotion on a golf product. Now, the template letters need to be, yes, ma'am.
When we find template letters, are there any sources of information about how well they're doing, like Red Growth, who's mailing what, what's working, or are there any of those services that tell us whether those letters are doing good, bad, or indifferent?
Well, let me.
Steal from a loser.
Yeah, you know what? That's really a smart question, and I am going to answer that more fully in a moment than you asked it. Okay, so the first thing you want, though, is you want template letters that relate to your selling. Let's add that are winners, winner template letters. Okay. Where do you get them? Well, first thing is I'm going to give you a whole bunch of them. The letters that you have in the collection I'm giving you are all winners. Every single one of them. There isn't a losing letter there. Now, some of them, by the way, will be formatted as ads. Don't let that throw you off, like the Johnny Carlton thing. That's the same. Ideally, this seminar should be called How to Write a Sales Message That Will Make You Rich, because the letter copy will work in advertising copy. All right? Now, let me give you an ingenious answer to your very good question. You know, as you go through the SRDS book, it's going to tell you source. You know, and that means how the list was created, and it'll say 100% direct mail. And you know what you can tell the list broker? I want to see the mailing piece that created the list. Aha! It's pretty slick, isn't it? So you get, among the most valuable things you can have is a swipe file of letters, and you should make this a minor passion of yours, collecting letters and ads. Now, if you see an ad repeated over and over, it's a winner, because that's why they keep running it. So keep a collection of those. And as you go through the SRDS book and you see these big mailing lists that have been created by direct mail pieces, or for the matter of that, they've been created by magazine or newspaper ads, call and say you want to see the piece that created the list. By the way, there's some fraudulent people in the list industry, not so many anymore. But a couple of them used to come to me all the time, and they would have names that they had stolen and ask me if they could have this piece that I wrote to say that it created the list. And I would always say no. But one day I come in, and I had done this promotion for a guy in Beverly Hills. And, you know, when I was writing copy for clients, the biggest part of the money I always got came in commission. And so one day I'm sitting at my desk and I'm reading this list card, and the numbers are about 20 times bigger than the guy has been paying me commissions on, you know. And I rush into this guy's office, and what it is they had frauded it up. They had stolen the names. And the people said, well, where did this come from? And they said it came for this promotion. Because I was about to go out and use a hatchet on the guy because I thought he was cheating me out of 90% of my commissions. Well, he wasn't. He did, you know, it was just the list broker doing that. So when it says source, get the pieces that created the mail. That's a really good question. So,
Isn't that mailing piece before you buy the list?
yeah, a lot of times they will.
They long to create a sweat file.
Sure words were never spoken, neither here nor in Hoboken. Yep. Yeah, and what's the worst they can say? No. And if you ask around a little bit, you know, you can get it. The other thing that you should do is when you see ads running, like lead generating ads like I wrote about in magazines, you should answer all of those. You should start buying by mail. A lot of people say it like it's proud. Well, I'm different. I never buy anything by mail. You know, yeah, you are different. You're big, fat, ugly, smelly, and stupid, you know. Become a mail order buyer. Stop worrying about being a sucker. Stop worrying about it. You're a sucker if you don't move. Go spend 20 or 30 or 40 bucks on things that you have some vague interest in. Answer all the ads that say, write for more information, call for more information. If those ads are repeated, you're going to get a collection of the best sales letters in the world. Okay.
See, that's the problem, Gary, because I get, I see at least 20 pounds of junk mail every week.
It stacks up like this on my desk, and I read everything, or try to. And, of course, I buy everything. That's why
you get it.
Exponential, right?
No, it's not a problem, but I'm explaining how to do it for those who don't know how to do it, you know.
Get a mail drop. Get a mail drop. A false middle initial for everything you buy, and that way you'll know what's junk and what's not.
Well, I try a lot of different things, and it's just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years later that the same thing comes up. So they must keep these lists forever. I was out of the country for many, many years, and I used a name like that. And I get back here, and that's 15 years ago. I still get mail with that name.
Let me tell you a little story about that. One of the bullets that I promised was how to eliminate deadwood names that are in every mailing list. Well, there was a consultant in Woodland Hills, California, named Howard Shenson. And he was known as the consultant's consultant. And he had a deal where you'd pay him so much money and he'd list you in his directory and he'd send you to, he'd send that to all of the people on his mailing list. Well, I rented his mailing list from him and I mailed it first class. And what happened is that the list was very dirty, meaning that a lot of the names were non-deliverable, and they came back to me, bags full of them. And I called him and I said, Howard, I've got all these nixies. In case any of you don't know it, a nixie is a piece of undeliverable mail. And I said, I would like to give them to you as a service so that you can delete them from your file. And he wasn't very interested. Guess why? Because he was renting the mailing list. And he was renting it to people who were not savvy. And he would just as soon have people on that list that died 20 years ago because they're still paying the rent to it. So that kind of happens a lot. One of the ways to eliminate the deadwood names is to make your first mailing by first class, if not all of them, and if you get a big return rate and you're going to continue with that list owner, tell him that you want to pay him on a net name basis. There are other ways to figure net names, but this is one. You know, if the list is working for you, but 20% of them is undeliverable, and if they're undeliverable first class, they certainly will be bought. Tell them you only want to pay 80%, and they will work with you on that.
And what is a reasonable receipt percentage?
7%.
So if it's 10 to 15, then it's crummy.
Yeah. However, though, what you really want to know is, do you make a profit when you mail that list? You know, and you really wouldn't care if it was 50% undeliverable if the other 50% made you a profit, but it shouldn't be much more than 7%. That's about the outside edge.
Since we're back on lists for just 1 second, I had a question that I didn't want to let go. Is there any kind of rule or formula or general, I don't know quite how to put this, if just a formula to see how people who respond to a TV offer will then turn around and respond to a direct mail offer? Is there a big fall off when you switch media?
Well, actually, you really don't even need a formula. You should know in general those offers will not work very well. Most people who respond to TV offers are idiots. I mean, let's face it. Who with a life can sit around and watch infomercials or Oprah Geraldo, you know? And the way that you can sell those people, but it's generally done with the telephone. So the formula is those names don't generally work very well. Okay. Now, remember, that triggers off another thing. One of the bullets in my sales letter to get you all here is to how to tell whether the mailing list is going to work for you before you mail a single letter. Wouldn't that be a neat thing to know? Okay. Some of you will know this, but for others of you, it'll be sort of surprising. Now, what you do when you rent the list, if you're working with a broker closely, they will give you a usage report. And usage means the name of the companies who have tested this mailing list. That's the first piece of information they'll give you. And you know what the second one is? Continuations. Now, it's one thing to know that 100 companies tested the list and none of them came back for more names, isn't it? It's quite another to know that 100 people tested the list and 85 of them came back for more names. That is, information is available, and all you have to do is ask the list broker for it. Now, that won't absolutely guarantee that your letter will work to the list, but it'll sure put the odds on your side. Now, let me tell you, while we're on this subject of lists, because it's so crucially important, one of the things that you need to do, and you need to do it without wasting the person's time, however, is you need to form a friendship with the mailing list broker. Other than reading the SRDS, a utopian situation for you would just be able to hang out in a list broker's office and read the new list cards as they come through. I used to work out of a list broker's office. Every day there were hot new mailing lists that came, on the little list cards. Form a relationship with the mailing list broker. Okay? They will give you all kinds of information. Step one in writing a really good sales letter is to assemble a collection of one or more template letters that are winners, that are related to what you want to sell. In the collection of letters that I am giving you, there is a couple of letters by my mentor, Thomas Hall. It's a man who wrote the direct mail guides, and there are no better sales letter writers than him. He's a very reclusive man. I can't, nor can Cara Galletti or anyone else, get the rights to sell the direct mail guides, which were written between the years 1955 and 1962. But I do have a couple of his letters in this collection. And those are if I could only choose one template letter, it would be these two, because they're both the same template. One of them sells a money-making opportunity, a book. The other sells weight loss. And it has a little Japanese symbol on it. You'll find the letter. If you would like to make extra money or something like that, then here is how I did it in Japan, and how I believe you can do it in Ohio too, or something like that. Now the letter is in there. There are two versions of it. I may not have that exactly right, but if you read that exact letter, it's the best opening sentence I've ever read for a letter. And if I could only give everybody one template letter, it would be the Thomas Hall letter. But anyhow, let's say you've got your template letters now. Well, if it's not, it will be, because Terry will make sure. Is Terry here? Huh? I don't think they gave it all to you. I think they only gave you a part that I needed to refer to. So let's just charge right along. We've identified the hot market. We've tested it. We've created our product. We're all ready, except for this part of writing the sales letter. Okay, so to begin with the sales letter, and this is not the only way to do it. In every case, it will not be the best way to do it. It is a way to do it that's very, very good, okay? First thing with the sales letter is an envelope. So, mail your first sales letter in a number 10 envelope. That is the most common size used. Make the envelope buff-colored or white. Don't just, all else, just think about white envelopes. This letter appears what to be a typed corner card. Remember, this is a corner card? This is from a big company, Phillips Publishing, but it says J. Schabacher, 7811 Montrose Road, Potomac, Maryland, 20854. That's all you need for your corner card. Just put your name and your address there. This is a window envelope. I would suggest for your first letter you don't use a window envelope. Some of the large companies almost have to, because they get so much mail, they have to barcode the reply device. But you don't. So you're going to use a closed-faced envelope. If you use the peel and stick labels, which you should for your first mailing, use white envelopes and put white peel and stick envelopes on your first 1,000. Yes, it is not as good as direct impression addressing. Probably not quite as good as handwriting or typewritten, but if you fail, it's not because you have a white peel and stick envelope on there. Okay? So do that. And up here, put a first-class stamp. That's how you create your first letter. Now, a lot of people are very, very confused about this, especially people who work in advertising. Do you know why people open an envelope? They do it to find out what's inside. It's just that simple. And if you tell them what's inside on the outside, they don't have to open it to find out what's inside. So we don't tell them. We don't put, here's your chance to get Time Magazine at half price. Now, you may not know all the details, but if you're not in heat for Time Magazine at that particular moment, you may not open it. So the rule is, you just want your letter to be open. So what you do is you give them no reason not to open it. Right? That's how you do the envelope. This right there puts you way ahead of most other practitioners in direct mail. So we have a white envelope, a white address. You type this up here and have your letters printed. It looks like a typed return address. It has a first-class stamp. And these people say, please open immediately or something. Don't do that. if you're going to put anything on there, put a little red stamp that says first class mail or something. But in lack of anything else, put nothing. Just put nothing. Out of
yesterday we had the date and time on the outside envelope. How significant is that?
You wouldn't want to do that in most cases. I did that because it's my conceit you're going to remember those letters for the rest of your life, and I thought you might like to know exactly when you wrote them in time. Actually, though, it would be an interesting thing to test, putting that on a letter. I haven't done that yet. So we all have the envelope done, right? Okay. Now, we're going to use this letter as a template letter. Why? It's a winner, right? We don't want no loser template letters. Okay. And we're going to make this a formula letter. We're going to make it a formula. Okay, this one has a headline at the top of the letter. So, and again, it's not the only way to do it. This is the way you're going to do it. This is a great way to do it. The first thing is you want a headline up at the top of the letter in bold, in upper and lower case type. Terry, what point size is this? That's a Schabacher letter. 24 point type. Could you get the Thomas Hall letters for me? I want to use those as we only have 2, don't we? Oh, that's right. We got more. I want the diet one, and I want the money-making one, the 87 proven Japanese money-making plans. Okay, now, it's one thing to say, write a headline and put it at the top of the letter. It's quite another to write the headline, is it not?
Is that Century School book, that one?
I haven't a clue.
Times Roman.
Times Roman. Okay.
Do you want the headline to take up the whole top third when it's folded?
Actually, I don't do that deliberately, but that's not a bad idea. I think it's kind of a good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Make the headline take up the top third of the letter. Let's make that a rule. The thing is, we're going to get this going, right? Are we giving them the headlines? Is that coming? Yeah, but do they get that as part of the task? Okay. Okay. Now, do I have that headline thing, Terry?
Sorry?
Do I have it?
Yes.
Where is it? Now, we're going to start with this headline. This headline says, "The amazing stock market's secret of a financial genius who has made a profit every single year for 17 years in a row." Okay? Now, I'm going to issue a challenge here. I want any of you to give me any subject or anything that you may be selling that you think I can't use that headline, a variation of it, to sell. Who's got something? Anything? Carpet cleaning. I beg your pardon?
Marketing program for carpet cleaners.
A marketing program for carpet cleaners. Okay? The amazing money-making secret. Where are you from?
Tempe, Arizona. Right.
Of a desperate nerd from Arizona.
How about a desperate ex-drug addict or something?
Well, don't do that. Don't put of a desperate nerd from Arizona who discovered a secret way to make money while working at his kitchen table. ... And he's been doing it for the last 17 years in a row. That's a little awkward, but that would work. You notice we didn't mention carpet cleaning in there? I don't want him to know about that later because he's not selling carpet cleaning. He's selling a chance to make money. Now, where are you going to get these headlines from that you're going to model them from? You're going to get them from me because Terry is going to send you a list. What is it, 257 of them? Yeah. Okay. Well, wait a minute. We don't even have to do that. Forget that. We don't have to do that. You know where you're going to get the headlines? From the sales letter collection you're going to get. I promised you 57. I think there's about 70. Most of them have headlines. All of these letters are carefully chosen to be winners. Take your headlines from right there. Now, pick one of those headlines, or pick more of them, and you start playing with them until you come up with fits your product, okay? Now, let's try another product just to do this. Give me one more product. You've got a what?
Fireproof safe.
A fireproof safe. Okay? The amazing, quote, inside secret, quote, anyone can use, parentheses, who knows how, close parentheses, to make 100% certain the most valuable piece of paper you will ever own doesn't get destroyed. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? You see what I'm doing there? I'm using this not only as a template exactly, but as a spark. So what you want to do is you want to go through all of the sales letters that I'm giving you, and this is the first thing you should do. You should rewrite in your own handwriting every single headline in there. Just do it. Write them in upper and lower case. Just do it. It will imprint upon you the art of good headline writing. The thing is, what we all have, the human beings are nothing but a species of mammals who have been miswired. You know how I think it happened, by the way? I think God is a prankster. And I think that before we were born, we lived in heaven and we were just in ecstasy hanging out with God. And God said, I'm going to make you all leave here and go to a place called earth. And you will not remember heaven exactly, except that you'll have this kind of vague yearning that you want to get back there. And how well you succeed in life and what a nice person you turn out to be determines whether you'll get back here or not. And just for the fun of it, I'm going to give you all a handicap. Not all of you will have the same handicap, but some of you, we're just going to mix it up. And I've written all the handicaps on a little sheet of paper, a little piece of paper, and I put it in this big basket. Now I'm going to walk around, you put your paw in there, and you pull out your handicap, Pulls out your handicap. You will only have an IQ of 85. You guys say, well, that sort of sucks, but I guess it could be worse. You will be born HIV positive. Ooh, that one sucks, You will be born with a tendency toward alcoholism. You will be born to redneck loser parents who tell you that you will never succeed in life. There's some of these. The one that I would have hated to get, worst of all, this is really true. There are two black girls in Los Angeles who are very intelligent. When I knew about them, they were college students, and they were joined at the head. They had a thing that connected their heads like this. They were like a living black McDonald's arch. And I don't mean to make fun of them because they were, but